Hello, I'm Jean. Welcome to Council Close-Ups. Today I'm with Joseph Hill. Joseph doesn't actually work for the council, but everybody at our Robert Street building knows him because he's the security guard behind the desk in our lobby. Today, we're at Maddox Park in St. Paul. So why did you choose Maddox Park for our conversation today?
Well, because this is where my daughter and son-in-law and 2 children are moving to this area, and they love the park.
So I expect you think you might be spending some more time here.
Oh, just a little time, yeah.
Did you grow up in the Twin Cities?
No, I'm from Chicago.
Tell us what life was like for you growing up as a kid and a teenager.
You know, I think back on it now and it was almost idyllic because I'm a baby boomer, so neighborhood full of kids, far south side of Chicago. And we were talking off camera, the friends that I had then I still have, and that was many decades ago.
So what did your parents do for a living?
Well, my father worked for the state of Illinois. My mother was a maid, which was interesting because as a kid growing up, I was always embarrassed about that. And I think back on it now, and I'm embarrassed to have been embarrassed. But they worked hard, and I went to parochial schools. I actually thought I wanted to be a priest. So I had a scholarship to Mariam Academy. I was going to be a Benedictine monk. But then I changed my mind and I went to the public school where all my friends had gone because I didn't go to school with most of my friends.
Did that decision not to become a monk happen then, or was it still in your mind that you might do that?
It was kind of a long process, but that was, that whole, I really liked religion and all of that, but I also love girls an awful lot. And so girls beat out the religious part of it.
What sort of a career path did you take?
At a young age, I watched the news if I was home, and my dad always watched the news and was always in the politics and the political world. And he said, watch this, and Walter Cronkite was my hero, but especially the correspondents, the guys out in the field. And, I saw them and I said, that's what I want to do. My neighborhood was typical Chicago big city neighborhood. As much as I loved my childhood, it was overwhelming. We had so many dominant characters and people until I kind of got caught up in just being like an average guy and trying to stay out of trouble and all of that stuff, and really didn't find myself until I went away to college.
So what did you major in? What did you decide to make of yourself?
Speech communications with an emphasis in radio, television, film, minored in history, got a job in the station in South Central Nebraska, KHAS. I was the Kearney Bureau Chief.
Oh, wow. So what kinds of stories were kind of typical?
Everything. A lot of ag stories. I knew nothing about agriculture. I learned from Nebraska, went on to Cheyenne, Wyoming, which is the state capital. Was out there for a number of years. Interviewed people like Dick and Lynn Cheney. And then from Wyoming to Kansas, Topeka, another state capital. And then from Kansas I went to upstate New York, Rochester.
And this whole time in television?
In television,
news.
Yeah. Covered an awful lot of homicides and murder trials. And after 20-some years of that, it got old. And I think the frustrating part was that, history just keeps repeating itself. So you do these stories, but, no one really learns.
I understand you're working on some kind of a documentary. Tell us about that.
It's a historical piece. I really like the fact that I can combine my major and minor, because I love history also. It's called Black Border Warriors, the Seminole Negro Indian Scouts. And it's about a group of half black, half Indian fighters based in Texas in the 1870s, 1880s. And they were a pretty amazing group. They were a scouting unit for the U.S. Cavalry. And I focus on an 8-year period of time when they fought under a man named Lieutenant John Lapham Bullis, who actually came from a Quaker family. As they started out historically, they fought against the U.S. government. They started out with what's called the Seminole Wars. To me, these people are some of the most unique, group of African Americans in history. They are the only Maroons in North America who survived. You hear about slaves running away, it's usually an individual slave or they went through the Underground Railroad. This was hundreds of people who originally left, ran away from plantations in the Carolinas into what was then Spanish Florida, and were never recaptured, were never slaves again. Because of their fighting prowess, they were actually mercenaries for the US government, but they remained free.
So when will this documentary be finished?
It'll be finished in August, and in September we'll go and take it and let the descendants take a look at it. Every third weekend in September, in a small town called Brackettville, Texas, on the Texas-Mexican border, the site of old Fort Clark, the descendants of these people do what they call Seminole Days. So it's a long weekend where they celebrate their ancestors, and we'll go down and show the film to them.
Joseph, thanks so much for talking with us today. I've really enjoyed getting to know you better. And I'm looking forward to that documentary. How would somebody find out about it? Do you have a website or?
Well, we have a Facebook page, and if they go to Black Border Warriors, the Seminole Negro Indian Scouts in Facebook, they'll have some information about it.
Great, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
If you'd like to learn more about the work of the Metropolitan Council, visit our website at metrocouncil.org.